How we doing, Raven fans, Oriole fans? Definitely you Raven fans, definitely tuning in for this because this is, excuse me coughing. And now we're going to talk about the Ravery Sports podcast for fans like me. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. Our numbers keep going up. That is wonderful. Every time I go into YouTube or Twitch, well, not Twitch, actually. Twitch is actually having some issues. But everything else like Twitter and Facebook and everything like that, over 100 subscribers on almost all platforms except for YouTube and Twitch, over 100 on Facebook, over 700 on Twitter, definitely on Rumble. Everything is moving, so we're grateful. Hey man, we're moving as best we can. We've been doing this. We appreciate all of you yesterday that watched our Texas, Ohio State, Maryland preview video. We had over 100 people in there. Shout out Big Rich and Josh for joining me with that. You are going to see more videos like that. Our first instant reaction after the Buffalo Ravens introductory game, first Sunday night game. We're going to have more stuff like that. So instant reaction is going to be changing a little bit this year. Hopefully my intro, the new intro, will be done this week. I don't know. Hopefully, for sure, for week 2, we'll have a new intro that's coming in, new graphics and all the other fun stuff as well. So tomorrow, if you're watching this, especially live, Genesis Delivery Services live stream here in Virginia. If you know, you know. So definitely check that out as well. For all of you in the Winchester, Virginia area that want to check out the Genesis Notary Services, see Charles Harris. We are LegalShield.com. Definitely check that out. ravorisports.company.site and Genesis Notary Services with Genesis. I mentioned Genesis. I'm sorry. ravorisports.company.site. Definitely with our links to Fanatics. If you know, you know. There's going to be a link up right now. You see it right now. We just put one up on the Twitter page and Facebook and Instagram for our Genesis Notary Services, along with I got Genesis on the brain. I've been working today to the business. ravorisports.company.site. Y'all keeping me busy. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. So we're here to talk football. NFL preseason predictions video. So I think like we're almost here. The football season's almost here. Cowboys and the Eagles start on Thursday night. Ravens and Bills are Sunday. Two of the best teams. Boy, you got a reason to watch the Cowboys now after that mess this week. So how did that change things? I think more, I would say, this year more than any other year with this video, I really wanted the preseason itself really has mattered more than any other ones like that. Some teams, it's hard to decipher. Sometimes I've looked, it's like, you know what, this is going to be the – so let's go ahead and predict it. Let's go ahead and see the Sunday before the NFL season what we're going to have here in the upcoming season. Our Ravery Sports preseason predictions video. Let's check out the East. AFC East. Buffalo, I think, as we all know, they're fantastic. Josh Allen, I think, won the MVP last year. We could argue that, of course, as Raven fans with Lamar Jackson. But I think Josh proved something last year. I think Josh really was concerned about his play without Stephon Diggs. I thought he was led his team to MVP. Outstanding season by him. I do think they were a bit vulnerable last year, and they weathered it. So I think I was very impressed by that. They lost some guys for free agency, and they've gotten better. This year, they're easily gotten better. They plugged up a lot of those holes. Joey Bosa is there with them. They did go ahead and sign Cook in the offseason, their run game. They Khalil Shakir developed as their number one receiver. Defensive line, I think, is great. There's a lot to like in Buffalo. The safeties kind of concern me a little bit. Corners a little bit outside of Bedford, but that's the only thing that concerns me about Buffalo. But they're going to score a lot of points. Easy win this division. New England, I think, people are kind of sleeping on. I think Drake May developing is important. I think it depends on how you feel about May, but he was really getting better, I thought, during the course of last year. Certainly, they had better coaching. I'm going to say it one more time. Horrible what they did to Jared Mayo. I guess we're starting to see, so this is the last time, but that was terrible. I thought the way the Patriots and the Kraft family behaved with Mayo, that was an abominable. I thought it was lousy, worse than usually when you fire a head coach. That said, Mike Vrabel is there. No question, Vrabel, I think, is going to upgrade them. Defensively, they're very, very good. Not worried about the defense. I think people are kind of sleeping on the defense. Milton Williams, Christian Gonzalez, a lot of good players on defense as well. I think they might be top 10 defense, and I think their offense is emerging. So I definitely think they definitely have a shot at getting to the playoffs. Miami, I think I don't know if the sky is falling as bad as I've heard it. I think some people have admit 3 wins and 4 wins. I won't go that far. I think they're closer to a 7-8 win team or something like that. I do think with them, they do score when healthy. When healthy is the key. But with Tua in, Tyreek Hill in, Jalen Waddle in, they're Achane in. I think there's enough there where they are going to be effective if they do have some offense there as well. So I do like that. I do think that's something there. The rest of it, they got some issues. That line is probably not as good as it was. Defensively, I think they do have some issues. They did get Zach Saylor a long-term extension. I think there are some issues there. I kind of, though, believe that they are going to go ahead and win third place, but they're not a complete. I don't think they're as bad as I'm hearing. The Jets, I think, are in last. Justin Fields, I think maybe he's the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. He has some skill set. I think that's the compelling thing with Fields, because he definitely can run the football. He definitely at times looks decent. The problem is I think he's on the wrong team for that. You're a defensive coach. You got a guy, Aaron Glenn, who's never been a coach. He's a defensive guy. Breece Hall's kind of regressed. Garrett Wilson's still pretty good. Offensive line, you're not sure. Defensively, they may be better than you think, but I just can't imagine them scoring enough to get higher than fourth. So I don't think the Jets make the playoffs. Big downgrade at quarterback, going from Aaron Rodgers to Justin Fields. The Ravens in the North, winning the division. I think I don't think this is even in an argument here. The North. This probably is the best roster I think we've had as the Ravens since I remember it. Quarterback, maybe MVP level. Running back, maybe MVP level. Finally have a Pro Bowl wide receiver. You definitely have Pro Bowl tight ends as well. Offensive line, I think, is the one area, like Buffalo with their secondary. This is the one that's kind of giving me a little bit of pause, if anything. I don't know if you have a lot on, especially your guards. I'm a little worried about that. But we'll see. I think that's the one thing. Defense should be top 5 as well. I think if it's not the best defense in the NFL, they're easy in the top 5 in terms of their defense, in spite of all their tools on offense. So definitely as well. Cincinnati's in second. Cincinnati's there. They should score a lot of points. They're the best offensive group. Outside of that, I think Burrow's terrific. We know. I think like he was playing in a preseason. Their Achilles heel is they can't. The Achilles heel for them is they keep starting slow every year. This is why Burrow and those guys are playing in the preseason, because they kind of acknowledge that and they want to start fast. So I think that was actually smart. But they got a mess. I mean, the whole Henderson thing, as far as that goes. But they're going to score. We know their pass game is going to be top notch. They're going to have some run game. The offensive line, I don't think it's as bad as you thought. The back seven is just terrible. They just don't have guys on the back end to defend. And this is why they're in all these shootouts in the first place that they have to come back from and get these slow starts. So, but they're in second. I think the Squealers, the gap between the Bengals, I think, is a little bit closer than what we think. I think the gap between the Squealers and the Ravens and the Bengals, I think, is closer than what people think. I do like some of the things they've done. I do. I think like some of the noise they've made has been, they got Aaron Rodgers, that's an upgrade. They got Jalen Ramsey, that's an upgrade. They got Darius Slay, that's an upgrade. So offensive line, I think, is a concern. Aaron is kind of a concern, obviously, but I think it's better than what they had. I don't know. I think Cincinnati's has been that situation. Maybe I think they may be closer to Cincinnati than what we think, but I'm still going to put them in third. Browns are the Browns. No quarterback at all. God bless Joe Flacco. He's going to be literally 40 years old. They went ahead and traded away Kenny Pickett. You're going to have two rookies backing them up. I think the only hope is one of these rookies comes in and really saves the bacon at some point and really becomes good, whether it's Shador, whether it's Dylan Gabriel come in. I don't think you're going to score a lot of points with them. And they're a bit banged up in other areas. I think their line used to be really good, not as much. Running back situation is kind of up in the air, too much up in the air with the Ravens and all these teams in their division. So we'll see about that there. Houston Texans in the South. I think almost by default. I don't see any way they can lose it. I think the Texans are a pretty good football team. I think Stroud, I think some people are being a little bit too hard on CJ Stroud. I think Stroud was really good last year. Not as good as maybe we thought. Like some people had putting him in the elite category, the upper echelon of the NFL, the top 5-6. Not quite there, but he was still really good, especially at home. I thought he was good. I think they are going to score points. Nico Collins, I think, is probably maybe the most underrated, outstanding receiver in the league. They're going to score as well. Their defense is great too. Love their ends, Hunter and Will Anderson. Derek Stingley, I think maybe one of the top 5 corners in the NFL. They have defense. They have defense. They have a quarterback. They have a brilliant coach. I really like their coach. I really like their coach. Right. So they have D'Amico Ryans. There's the name. So I do like that. I don't know though. I think I'm still kind of waiting for the Texans to join that upper echelon area. That's kind of the thing. I'm not sure that they got there, and I'm not sure that they got there because their offensive line is continuing to be a problem. Again, they traded away Tunzel, and I understand some of the reasons why you do that, but you didn't really upgrade and replace. That's not going to work. The rest of the division, man, oh man, the Jags. I went with the Jags, I guess. I think the Jags I would put them in number 2, simply because Trevor Lawrence, I think, is probably as of right now the second best quarterback in that division, even though I have some concerns with that, with the way he's played. He's looked so far so good. He does also have Brian Thomas at wide receiver, who's really, really good. Travis Hunter has looked good here at the start in preseason. So that's a good start. The running back group, Etienne, etc., as well. Offensive line, some concerns, but it may be okay. Defensively is kind of is very puzzling. They do have some guys, Josh Hines, Allen, some guys positive on defense, but the defensive ranking last year was just horrible. That was probably even worse than the Lawrence injury and all that. The defense was like almost at 30th in the league. So they've got to get somewhat better on defense, much better on defense rather. But that said, I'm gonna think that they're gonna finish ahead of these other two. Titans, I think, are heading in the right direction, just not quite yet. I think it's too big of a rebuild for them to jump up too much this year. I think they jump out of the first pick, though, with Cam Ward there. Cam Ward, but they're just wanting Cam Ward to develop. Basically, that's what you could say. Calvin Ridley is there that's going to help him, but I don't think there's enough else there. Defensively, they have some decent players, but you have some issues there. I don't know if you have enough on defense or offense to really move any higher. They could. This is probably the team I could see it in some universe, depending on how fast the quarterback develops. But I do think like third is probably go. I like the roster of the Jaguars better than I do the Titans as well. I don't think either of these teams goes to the playoffs or goes very far. And the Colts, I think, are the fraud of the Colts is finally being exposed as well. Ballard, I always thought this guy was a fraud. As far as a GM, people praise him because he kept saving on the cap, but you didn't add players. The roster isn't as good as people keep always giving it credit for. They do have some solid players, but I think like you don't have a stud really where you need studs, pass rush, corner, wide receiver, and things like that. You have some solid players, decent enough players like that. And Daniel Jones is going to start for them. Completely gave up on Anthony Richardson. I mean, there's no more to say. I think maybe the worst quarterback situation in the league as well there. Best division, I think, in the AFC, if not the NFL. Yes, that's right. I'm doing it this year again. The Chargers should dethrone the Chiefs in as far as the AFC West as well. Some people are worried about the Rashawn Slater injury. It does with me too, obviously, when you lose a guy, because that was really made him dominant. Joe All is not a slouch, guys. This guy can easily move in. The problem is he was on the right side, now you're moving him to the left side, and so that's probably you say putting Trey Pipkins in. So a little bit about that because he wasn't nearly as good. The line is really good though across the board, even with the Slater injury. Not worried about that. Jim Harbaugh, I think, is a fantastic coach. Can Herbert actually deliver in meaningful games? That's the question with the Chargers. I do think they're going to go ahead and take advantage of that, though. I like them. I love the vibe with the Chargers. What's going on defensively? Khalil Mack, etc. Derwin James. They have it. I think it's all there for them, and I do think there is some diminish with the team number 2, Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know why. Well, I don't want to say I don't know why people are picking them first. Because they've always been first, right? But I just can't ignore all the losses on Kansas City. Yeah, I know Andy Reid is there. I know Pat Mahomes is there. I know some of the names. I think McDuffie is fantastic as well. Bolton is fantastic as well. But that offensive line isn't going to get it. Not going to get it. It hasn't been good early in training camp as well. I think the run game is very suspect as well. Pacheco is always on the shelf. I think they won a lot of close games last year that they shouldn't have. Kelsey, I think, is on his last leg. I don't see them being the offensive team that they've been. If they are win the division, it is going to be because of the defense. Because the defense is really, really good. I don't think there's any. I think the defense has been very consistently underrated the last couple of years. But I don't think. I think their offensive line and their offense is just not gonna. That's not gonna work anymore. You're not gonna be able to win all these close games as well, especially now with the Chargers and the Ravens and the Bills and all that stuff. I think they're gonna have issues this year. I think they'll still be decent. Don't get me wrong, because they still have good players, but I don't think they'll win the division. Denver, I think, would win the division we just talked about, like as well. Denver, I think, is defensively, I think they're really, really, really good. Zach Allen. They did get some guys. Greenlaw, I think, is a great. Funga, I think the guys from San Francisco, great moves for them as well. Their pass rush, I think, is first rate. Nick Batant, I think their pass rush and their defense as a whole is first rate as well. Offensively, we're going to still see. I think I'm not ready to anoint Bo Nix just yet. Lots of progress. Sean Payton is there. We'll see. I think it's a little bit premature to go ahead and anoint a Bo Nix just a little bit yet. But I do think they were really good last year. Tempting to take them in Kansas City, but I'm not going to do that. But I think they'll be good as well. The Raiders are just in the wrong division. I do like some of the stuff they've done. I know this. The Raiders are going to run the football. This is going to be Ashton. This is going to Pete Carroll, his teams, that offensive side. They're going to be physical on the offensive side. I think they'll get better on defense, but I don't know if they have the personnel to get that much better year one with that. Crosby obviously is a maniac, like one of the best defensive players in the league. I don't think they're going to have enough there in this division as well. Maybe the best team, fourth place in the division. There's a universe possibly where they get better. This division is going to be two to the post. I think the Eagles, the defending, reigning, the quote Paul Heyman, defending, reigning world. Paul he would that's what he'd be saying about the Eagles. Eagles, I don't think there's a flaw in this football team. Not one. I think Hurts has been disrespected. I think Hurts has been great for them. Stop with the disrespect of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, I think, is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Along with Saquon Barkley, who is MVP worthy at the running back position. The offensive line is first rate. The receivers are really, really good. We know what they can do on offense. Their defense, I think, maybe the best is yet to come with some of these guys. Jalen Carter, Cooper Tejin, Quentin Michael, etc. Zach Braun, fantastic. The only question I have with the Eagles is, are you hungry enough to win another title? That's it. Sometimes you get a little bit of a hangover, you get more coverage, you get more press. I mean, that's really reaching. I think their roster is as good as anybody that they have. I do think the other thing with the Eagles is the Commanders are in their division, and Washington is good. I'm whatever the Jaden Daniels hype, I'm buying. That guy looked terrific last year. I think in all phases. I'm not worried about the sophomore jinx much at all. There is something to that. I don't not buy the sophomore jinx, but I do think in some cases teams who have a little bit of a book on you and they kind of see you. So that's why for some guys in their second year, it's a little bit harder. I don't think these guys going to have a problem. Simply because, and also, too, they got them on weapons. They got them on Laramie Tunsil at the right tackle. They got Deebo Samuel at the wide receiver. They did get the deal done with McLaurin as well. I like them. I like them on offense. Defensively, I don't think they're as good as Philly. That's why I don't think they are going to finish as high as Philly. But I think they're better than what people think is defense. But they have a lot of really good players on defense, but not great. But with their offense, I don't think you need to be a top 5 defense, top 6 defense, or anything like that. They're going to be really good. Dallas, I was tempted to put them in 4th, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave them in 3rd after the Micah Parsons trade. Dallas, I just don't know what to say about you, Dallas fan. I almost feel sorry for you. You got the owner saying weird things. They have some good players. And that's what always gives me pause with Dallas, despite all their foolishness. You got Prescott there. You got maybe not the same player. You have 2 really good receivers, CeeDee Lamb and Pickens. The offensive line is young, so I don't know what to expect. You got rid of Parsons, so your pass rush isn't as good. Defensively, I'm still not sure what you are. You're definitely not as good on defense, but I think you're in 3rd. I think there is. I think 4 or 5 wins. I think that's that's worse than what I think. Probably like 7, 8. Probably like anywhere between 6 and 8 wins. I think is about right for the Cowboys. Giants. Um, some people are making convincing arguments for the Giants, but I'm just not. I think defensively line, I don't think there's any question about if they're going to be great. They're going to be outstanding on the defensive line front. We got Dexter Lawrence, we got Brian Burns, we got Abdul Carter. That'll work. So the teams are defensively, they're going to be decent enough as far as their pass rush and everything like that. Offensively, it's just not enough. You got Neighbors there. You got Andrew Thomas. That's not enough. Russell, I think, should retire. I don't know about Jackson Dart yet. At some point, maybe he's good as well. You got no run game to speak of. I'm still not going to do that. I'm going to have the Giants. I still think they're in fourth behind Dallas as well. Well, the Parsons trade kind of shifted this a little bit for some people. I'm sure some people are going to have the Green Bay number one. I'm still going to say Detroit. I think Detroit's kind of going under the radar, and that's just fine a bit. Detroit is still really good. They got upset in the playoffs, but I mean, I'm not too down on them. They're still really, really good. Detroit, their offense is going to be solid. Goff and Gibbs and St. Brown and the receiving core. The offensive line is not going to be quite what it was, but still solid offensive line. I mean, it shouldn't hurt their offense, the offensive line that they actually have as well. A bit of a concern because Goff does need that, so it's somewhat of a concern as well. Defensively, I think maybe Aiden Hutchinson is the sizzle and the steak, so just needs to prove that he's healthy as well. But defensively, I think they should be pretty good on defense. They have two outstanding safeties, in my opinion, where a couple years ago they were having secondary problems. I think cornerback, safety, etc. They're very good, I think, from top to bottom. It's hard not to like the Lions. Now, I know a lot of people are going to pick the chic, all of a sudden, chic Green Bay Packers, but I still have them in second as well. They definitely needed pass rush. I will say that. I think they definitely needed to have pass rush because Rashawn Gary wasn't the guy. I think the defense was kind of needed something. This is exactly what you need. So now you go from your pass rushes, all right, now it's great. Now you got great pass rush because you got Parsons and you got Rashawn Gary there. Jordan Love wasn't quite as good last year, so that's a real thing. I'm not that deterred on Love though as well. I do like Matt LaFleur. I think Matt LaFleur is a really good coach. I think they do have a lot of good things going on in Green Bay on offense as well because LaFleur is there. Josh Jacobs, etc. I still don't like him above Detroit, though. I really think Detroit is really good. But the Packers, this was a good move, obviously, as well. Gave up a lot of picks, but they don't need picks. They know how to draft. They can weather that as well. They did lose Kenny Clark, hurts the run defense somewhat as well. The Vikings and the Bears, 3 and 4. It was hard to tie. The Vikings roster is really, really good. So I do think there are some players. I do understand the argument what a lot of people are making about the Vikings. I do because they have some of the best players in the NFL. Justin Jefferson is fantastic wide receiver. Aaron Jones was good as a running back. The offensive line, maybe the best in the NFL. I'm not as definitive as I was last year, but I think like it's definitely there. Defensively, I think they definitely have good players. They have a definitely defensive coach. They have a good off. So there's a lot there. What's wrong then? Why are you in third? JJ McCarthy. I don't buy it. I'm just not buying it. I don't think this guy is a solid NFL quarterback. I don't think that was the right thing to let Darnold go and start McCarthy as well. Hasn't looked great in camp. Now that's just camp. Now we'll see it when the real games start. But I can't buy it though, as far as that goes. They may, but when I have the roster thing, they may win 7 or 8 games. Maybe I think because I think they actually might be the one team where the rest of the roster can lift up the quarterback a little bit. That's how good the rest of the roster is as well. But I still don't have them overcoming McCarthy. I think the Bears are a little disappointing. I think like all the stuff I'm hearing about Caleb Williams is just not good. I can't put him not last because they're another team I can't really wrap my arms around them as well. But Ben Johnson, I mean, I just keep seeing it over and over. And again, you don't have all the reports, but you can't. We should be hearing we should be hearing better things about Caleb Williams than I've been hearing in year two. He was really good at USC. I'm going to give him that. And they surrounded him with a lot. They went out and they drafted him a line. They went out and got him tight ends. They're getting him things like that, and he's still, kind of like making the coach pull his hair out as well. Defensively, you're not so good as well. Where I think of the defenses now, especially now with the Packers trade, you're probably the worst team of this group on the defensive side. That's probably the bigger reason why I have them fourth. I thought the Bears might be in third, but I put them in fourth. I think they're at fourth. I don't think they're totally terrible, though. It wouldn't shock me if they were a little bit better. NFC South, Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield is there. I think Baker Mayfield is one of the best stories that nobody talks about in the league. What he has been able to do, ran him out in Cleveland, and what he's done with Tampa has been fantastic as well. They ran him out to get Deshaun Watson, and all he's done is take his team to the playoffs every year. And all they're doing in Cleveland is like calling 40-year-old Joe Flacco, and you're relying on two rookies. So Baker Mayfield's getting the last laugh, and I think he's going to win the division again. I think this is now like one of the better offenses I think in the NFL. I think I think people kind of sleeping on Tampa with Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. They're really good. I think their offensive line. They're not going to have Wirtz. I think that's a concern. He's probably the best offensive lineman for the first couple of games. Defensively, they're really solid. So I do like what I'm seeing there as well. 2, 3. It was tough to pick between Carolina and Atlanta. I'm going with Atlanta in the 2 spot. Again, division not real strong here. Penix, I think, is a solid quarterback. I think Penix is very, very good, possibly in the future. I like him better than McCarthy and et cetera. He played a little bit last year, but I'm not totally sold yet on that. That's why it gives me a little bit of pause as well. The rest is very mid, for lack of a better word. That's why it's hard to pick. Robinson is really good on offensive side, is really good on offense. Bijan Robinson is really good on offense, so that's a real thing there for Carolina. That's a really good thing for Atlanta. Sorry about that. So that's a really good thing for Atlanta. So Atlanta is really, really good. I think they're potentially, I think, better than Carolina. Carolina, I did like, obviously, what we saw last year from Bryce Young towards the end of the season. So they benched him. They were ready to give up on him. Bryce Young obviously did turn himself around. Cheetah Hubbard is there as far as their running back. They did trade away Adam Thielen, so they did go ahead and get McMillan in the draft. I'm still not – it's hard to pick. I think both of these rosters kind of like go to average, below average, and it kind of depends on how well their quarterback does to go ahead and see if they can go ahead and get back to a better spot going forward as well. Saints was super easy. They're bad. Like Saints have no chance of being good. I think like they're on the clock. I think like if they're not either the Saints or Colts are on the clock. They did make the right decision with Rattler as far as becoming their quarterback. I think he's at least an NFL backup quarterback, unlike Tyler Shaw as well. Most of all their good players that we know, Kamara, Cameron Jordan, they're over 30. The ones they have that we know and the ones we don't know aren't very good. Their quarterback situation isn't good. No chance they don't finish in fourth. Last division, the West. The Rams. I do like the Rams in the NFC West. I think the Rams are really good this year. Some people are saying they're overstated a bit. I can tell you this. I'm really, really a big fan of Matthew Stafford, really a big fan of Sean McVay. So I think that's always, to me, like when you look at those things, all things being considered, that you got to look at who is the best coach and who's the best quarterback in the division. And certainly that's it. I think defensively, I think they're going to be really good. Jared Verse is a stud. Young on the defense is a stud. I think their run game, Kyron Williams, they should run the ball. They got Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. They're going to go ahead and they have offense. I'll say it one more time with Sean McVay's team, play with discipline. You don't see his teams get flags and everything else. You don't see them do stupid stuff. That kind of gets you 2-3 more wins during the course of the season. I think that is what they're going to need to win the West. Injuries are maybe a problem. I think it seems like they have a lot of injuries all the time in the Rams. But other than that, I do like the Rams. Seahawks, I think we know they're going to be good on defense as well. The thing that gives me pause with the Seahawks is Darnold having a season like he had last year. I like him, but I'm a little that's a bit much to go ahead and beat the Rams with that. I think the defense is going to get better and better with McDonald, when Mike Macdonald is Mike Macdonald's head coach. Leonard Williams is there on defense. I think he's one of the best defensive players in the league as well. Offensive line looked decent enough in the preseason. I thought Grace Abel looked good. So I mean that's a concern that I have, but I think they're good enough. I think they're good enough to actually win the division. Arizona, I think I have them in third. The personnel isn't bad. It shouldn't be. Every time I look at the personnel, and I should be saying better things. James Conner is better than I think here. All right, so we got that. So Arizona, I think Arizona is – players are in Arizona. I don't think there's any question about it. So you got Arizona. They have Kyler Murray, I think, is okay. I think compared to some of the names you've been talking about, I think Murray, it is somewhat possible. I do kind of believe he could be a really, really good quarterback at times. I think he's a little rough around the edges, but I do think that can be an issue there. James Conner, I think, is the one of the best backs that you don't talk about. Maybe the best tight end in whole NFC. You talk about Trey McBride. They have just something there, but it seems like they can't ever put it together in Arizona. And yes, the 49ers are in fourth. I'm surprised that they're getting so much love from so many people. I don't see it. I'm looking at this roster. I can't help you. Like Brock Purdy, I think, isn't as bad as I've heard. I think Brock Purdy is a solid quarterback, but McCaffrey injured again last year. No Brandon Ayuk due to injury. Traded away Deebo Samuel. Ricky Pearsall is going to be their number one guy. The line, I don't know how good it is without Trent Williams there. Trent Williams is there, but he's getting older. They lost a bunch of guys on defense. I don't see how in this division you're higher than fourth. I don't think so. I'm just surprised though. I'm seeing so much 49 love. I guess. Well, I guess I would be surprised since I have them in fourth there. So playoffs. I think Buffalo does have a better record than the Ravens, simply because I think they have an easier road than the Ravens. The Ravens have a tougher schedule in general, and I do believe they have a tougher division. So I do think the Ravens don't win as many games as Buffalo. So I do think Buffalo has a better record. The Texans, I think they have an easier road, period. I don't know if they're the better than the Chargers or some of these teams on this list, but I think they probably should win all 6 division games. So I do think they're going to win games in the record. as well. The Chargers, I do think edge the chefs in the West. I just can't buy the chefs. I just think the chefs have just too many problems on offense. They had too many lucky breaks last year as well. For that, I do think they get into the playoffs, but I don't know how much damage they do. Possibly they can win a wild card, but we'll see since they'll be going on the road to play the Chargers. Bengals, I do think get in 6 and 7. I do think they have a shot as well in the playoffs as well. We've seen that matchup a lot between the Houston Texans and the Bengals. I do think they do have a legitimate shot in the playoffs. But we will see. Broncos, I think, are going to get in. I think either them or New England. I like the Broncos a little bit better than New England as far as getting in. I think the Broncos are good. I really think that they're going to win a lot of these games outside of their division because their defense, I think, is first rate as well. Eagles, I think, are the best roster in the league. I think there's no question about it. I think the Commanders are going to give them some problems. So I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing in their division. But definitely, I think this is the best team. Detroit, I still really like. I think the Lions are really, really good on both sides. The Bucs, I kind of feel the same way. I think they are. I think, unlike Houston, I think they're a little closer to the top. I really do. I think there's a lot to like in Tampa as well. I don't know if they can go further than that, but I don't, simply because I think the skill in our team. But Tampa, I think, is there. The Rams, I think, are fourth. I think the division is a little bit tougher at the top. I think they'll have a tougher fight than Tampa will in their division. That's why I don't think they'll win as many games. Commanders, I think, get in. Commanders, I still really like. Green Bay, I definitely like, definitely after the Parsons trade. And the Seahawks, I think they get in. I think they are probably the Rams, probably the toughest challenge that the Rams are going to have this season. Who wins MVP? I think Lamar wins it again. I think, like, you say it's weird for a guy to have 2 MVPs and be motivated to win a third, simply because, he felt like he probably should have won it last year. I think he kind of, in a way, wasn't worried about. He's worried about it this year. I think he's definitely going to be motivated to win MVP. I think Hutchinson wins the Defensive Player of the Year on defense. I think he's that good. The only question with him is, can he stay healthy for a whole season? But everything was in place for him. Best defender in the league. Genti, I think, is going to get Rookie of the Year for the Raiders. They are going to run the ball. This is a Pete Carroll team. They are going to run the football. They're going to run it effectively. They're going to do that a lot. Mike Vrabel is definitely going to turn the Patriots around as well. Definitely from what we saw. I think he wins Coach of the Year again, this time in New England. AFC Championship game. What we're going to see it on the first week. Ravens going into Buffalo and win. This time, I think the Ravens actually go in the Buffalo and win. NFC side, I'm going to stick with the 2 top seeds. The Lions, this will be very close, though. But I do like the Eagles. It's going to be too hard to go against the Eagles, and I do like the Ravens over the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I do think that this is kind of where the Super Bowl thing will affect the Eagles, because when you play for a whole season and played a long season, etc., it's going to wear out by the time you get Super Bowl time, where I think the Ravens will definitely be hungrier to get there. There you go. All right, so let's start a football season. There are our Raven Sports preseason predictions. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content, and thank all of you out there for watching right now. Are you watching right now? All of our social media platforms. Go ahead, hit that follow button on Twitter. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Go ahead and share the video with other football fans, baseball fans out there to go ahead and check that out. Thank you very much, and you have a great rest of your day.